My name is Senator Ricardo Lara, representing the 33rd District in Southern California. We're here to share some good news. Looks like we have the votes we need to clear the Judicial Committee in regards to Senate Bill 323, our Youth Equality Act, which seeks to ensure that our LGBT youth are protected and can actively participate in our youth groups throughout our great state. With me, we have a great cadre of speakers who will be sharing their perspective and who have been working diligently throughout the year to ensure that this measure moves forward and that we continue to set a standard in California that we're going to protect. We're going to do everything we can to protect all its citizens, ensuring that they have equal access to participate in youth organizations, as well as ensuring the rights of our LGBT community. SB 323 is a bill near and dear to my heart, not only as a member of the LGBT community, but as somebody that has personally lived through my own struggles in terms of bullying and trying to exude my rights as a gay man in this country and in this state. And, you know, SB 323 is a historic bill. It is actually the first LGBT Bill of Rights that has been passed out of the Senate with the monumental 2/3 majority, and that is historic for us. And today, the Assembly Judiciary Committee has continued this historic effort, and hopefully, as we get when we get the last vote we need, we'll continue to move it forward to the Assembly, where we look forward to working with members in the Assembly to ensure that we continue to move this bill as it moves forward to the governor's desk. There are plenty, folks on the other side have said that we should be happy with what the Boy Scouts have done, and of course, we are encouraged by the direction they are taking. But unfortunately, equality does not have an expiration date. What are we telling our youth? That when you turn 18, you're no longer welcomed. And so we felt it was important to continue to press on this important legislation to ensure that we fully guarantee equality for our community. And, you know, the unfortunate thing is that it's premised under some very vile and sickening assumptions that somehow by the time you turn 18 and you're an LGBT man, that you are somehow a threat to children. And that is not only offensive to me as a gay man, as a gay adult, but as somebody who has firsthand experienced these types of discrimination, not only as a gay man, but as a Latino in the state and in this country. And so I'm here to thank all those that have been involved. Thank you for all of you that came out to support the legislation. It means so much more to have you come testify and give your personal accounts of how important it is for this bill to ensure that our LGBT youth continue to be accepted and continue to be productive members of our society. We all know that LGBT youth are very, very vulnerable and are more likely to contemplate suicidal ideation and self-harm. And this is just one more attempt to ensure that we send a clear message to our LGBT youth that they are welcomed in California. We care for them. We want to ensure they have equal access, just like any other youth, to participate in organizations such as the Boy Scouts, which, again, I have said publicly time and time again, provide a critical and important role for our youth. And all we're saying is we want to ensure that every youth in our state, regardless of their sexual orientation, have access to such important organizations like the Boy Scouts of America. So thank you for being here. We're going to now pass it on to John O'Connell from Equality California.
Hi, good morning. I'm John O'Connor, Executive Director of Equality California, the largest LGBT statewide advocacy organization in California. And I just want to pause for a second and reflect on the historic 2/3 vote on which this bill passed out of the Senate that Senator Ricardo referred to. And our success in committee the last 2 days is incredible. As an organization, as a community dedicated to full equality and nothing less. These are enormous successes, and we have all done this together as a community. But we really need to thank Senator Lara. Without his courage, without his leadership, without his tenacity, this bill would not have made it as far as it has. So thank you, Senator, for everything. California has been, and for those of you who heard my committee testimony, my message hasn't changed much, and that's because our message is very simple and very clear and doesn't change on this bill. Our state has been a leader in terms of fairness and non-discrimination for decades. With respect to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender equality, we have embraced those values of non-discrimination, and they have become statute. We don't tolerate discrimination in employment. We don't tolerate discrimination in education and housing and public accommodation. We don't even tolerate discrimination with respect to contractors of our state government. Why would we tolerate discrimination when determining the criteria of eligibility for special tax exemptions? Tax exemptions funded with public dollars. One of my proudest accomplishments personally was achieving the rank of Eagle Scout, and I did it from the isolating closet of a gay teenager. And the world has changed dramatically in the 30 years that's gone by since then. And I admire the young people today so much who have the courage to pursue this openly. It is time to update our tax laws to reflect the state's transformed values of non-discrimination over those 30 years that have transpired. I can speak from that personal experience when I tell you that the most important thing nonprofit organizations serving youth do is to instill values and to develop leadership. Leaders in this day and age do not discriminate. They embrace diversity. There are, unfortunately, a few organizations that continue to discriminate openly, but there are so many who have transformed with the times to fully embrace equality. The Girl Scouts, 4-H, Boys and Girls Clubs, and organizations like this are serving youth equally in communities all across the state. Shouldn't we, the people of California, be able to decide that we want our public tax dollars to support organizations like these, but not organizations that discriminate? So the question really is, the question at the core of this bill is not about the membership policies of any particular organization, but do we want to fund discrimination with public tax dollars? Thank you so much for everybody turning out and all of the supporters here today. It's now my pleasure to introduce Eric Andreasen, who, as a father, as a businessman, and as a volunteer scout leader over the years, has become a powerful advocate for this bill just by telling his personal story. Eric Andreasen.
Hi, my name is Eric Andreasen, and my son Ryan is the Boy Scout in Moraga that was denied his Eagle Award last September and then expelled from scouting because he's gay. And the pain, the trauma that whole experience created has been tremendous. And I'm here speaking today partly to protect Ryan. The last 8 months for him have been horrendous. To have his orientation become an international issue for an 18-year-old, that's just horrible. The state of California, in giving the Boy Scouts of America preferential tax treatment, has almost condoned the way they treated him. And that's why I'm here today, fighting to get this one additional step, one step closer to ensuring that LGBT youth and adults get treated fairly in the state of California and hopefully across the rest of the nation. BSA did enact a policy, or will enact a policy change in January. That change will at least allow youth to admit that they're gay and to be somewhat open about it in front of their troop. The problem, however, comes when they turn 18 and they're no longer welcome in the Boy Scouts of America. And Ryan still would have been kicked out a week after he completed his Eagle Project because it would have been his 18th birthday. And he would not have been allowed to finish his senior year and would not have been allowed to go to the final summer camp, which in his troop was a very big deal. So with this bill, we hope that we make it clear to any organization that discriminates that the state of California will not support that policy, that the policy is harmful, it hurts kids, and it needs to stop. And for that, I am very grateful for the votes of the committees, certainly blown away by the vote that came off the Senate floor, and looking forward to working this through the Assembly and up through the governor's desk. Thank you. John? Oh, am I getting, oh, sorry. That's what I get for not having notes in front of me. One of the folks that, one of the people that has been working very strongly with us and has been very supportive since this all started back on September 30th is Steve Tennant, who is the committee chairman of a local troop down in Orinda and has been very active in supporting the push towards equality within the Boy Scouts of America. And I'd like to welcome him up here now. Steve?
So I wanted to just share the perspective of a local volunteer. I'm a troop committee chair, which basically is one of the leadership positions in a Boy Scout troop. I believe this bill is important, and I want to also thank Senator Lara for his leadership on this issue. Boy Scouts, I think, is a great organization for boys and youth. We are all about teaching leadership. And if my sons, who are here today, were to go exercise the leadership practices the Boy Scout teach, they're still teaching discrimination. And my boys would go out in the market as business leaders, as government leaders, as people in the military. They would be fired from those jobs because they discriminate. It's illegal. And I applaud the efforts of Senator Lara and this whole team to bring this legislation forward. I believe that the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, the state of California laws, and the Scouts' own oath and law say that discrimination is not okay, and we need to treat people equally. If we're going to teach our sons to be leaders, let's teach them how to lead today, and let's teach them also that part of leadership is speaking up for people who can't speak for themselves. Anybody who is an adult today in the Boy Scouts can't speak up. If they did, they would also be kicked out of the Boy Scouts. And so I believe those of us who can speak out should, and it's part of our responsibility. So thank you all for coming, and thanks for helping us to make this change. And thanks again to the Senator and the state of California for showing their support for this important legislation.
Thank you. Again, Steve, it's great to have you share your personal story. I want to welcome two of my colleagues who have been steadfast advocates for equality and since day one signed up to this important fight. Senator Phil Ting from San Francisco, Senator Richard Bloom from Santa Monica. I also want to take a second to thank the Courage Campaign, the Sacramento Gay and Lesbian Center, and the City of West Hollywood for also signing up in this fight with us and ensuring that we continue to move this important bill forward. This concludes our press conference. We'll take some questions at this time. Go ahead.
Yeah, Senator, I know you've been asked this before, and I've probably asked it. There are those who are going to say this is really not about taking away state tax returns. It's about trying to get this organization to change their behavior. That's what it's really about. And that it's not fair for you to use your power to try to do that in this way. Can you comment on that?
Absolutely. The way we've crafted this legislation protects LGBT youth in all youth groups, and there's nothing in statute right now that protects this vulnerable class in perpetuity. Nothing prohibits currently without our bill the ability, say, of any organization, say the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club, from reverting their equality, their inclusive policies. And so this bill seeks to address all youth groups and ensures that we protect our LGBT youth and our leaders in perpetuity. And so it just happens to be that currently now the Boy Scouts of America are the youth groups that continue to pursue these discriminatory policies.
But is this really what you're trying? I mean, I assume the hope is just that they'll change their policy even before maybe the bill comes.
The goal, and I've said this before, the goal is to protect California's LGBT youth and ensuring that they have access to participate in all youth groups. And like I said before, if the Boy Scouts pursue what we think is the right direction, ensuring that their LGBT leaders and their members can participate. That's great, and we encourage that. But we want to make sure that we protect this vulnerable community in perpetuity. And again, like I said before, there's nothing that would revert, say, the Boy Scouts from going back, or the Girl Scouts from going back and reverting into a non-inclusive policy. So we want to make sure that in perpetuity we protect our LGBT youth from here moving forward. Any other questions?
Buenos días, senador. ¿Me puede decir, por favor, en español un poquito qué quiere que esta propuesta de ley haga?
Bueno, la propuesta de ley requiere que nuestra comunidad gay sea involucrada también en las organizaciones de nuestra juventud, ya sean como los Boys and Girls Clubs, como los YMCAs, y asegurar de que los jóvenes gays tengan el acceso a la igualdad a estos programas, y al igual que los líderes que son gay, que participan en estos programas, tengan la oportunidad de poder no solo acceder a estas organizaciones, pero poder ser miembros de estos programas. Vemos que actualmente hay varias organizaciones para nuestra juventud que no discriminan contra la comunidad gay, como lo hacen los Boy Scouts de América, y queremos asegurar de que se protejan esta comunidad vulnerable, que son nuestra comunidad gay, y especialmente a nuestra juventud, que tienen que tener más probabilidades de suicidarse y de tener problemas porque continúan ser víctimas de bullying, y tenemos que asegurar de que esta comunidad sea protegida y que tengan, si les vamos a dar los beneficios de darles la exempción de los impuestos, que es pagado por todos los californianos, que dejen de discriminar en contra de la comunidad gay.
¿Cuándo se espera en manos del gobernador?
Bueno, todavía la propuesta tiene que seguir al Comité de Apropiaciones y luego a la Cámara de la Asamblea, y regresa al Senado, y de ahí se va directamente a la oficina del gobernador.
¿Hay alguna oposición significativa?
Bueno, sí hay varias gentes que se oponen a la igualdad, y aseguramos que vamos a continuar hablando con la oposición y seguir a que avance esta propuesta adelante. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.